Hey guys, happy Tuesday and welcome to the Fox 5 Live Zone. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. Thank you so much for joining us. Coming up on the show today, yet again, we are counting the number of days regarding the government shutdown. Now day 28 with still no end in sight. Political strategist Andrea Kaye will join us with the very latest. Hey, Halloween just several days away, but the name of the game, keeping your kids safe. We'll have an expert stop by to tell you parents how to do just that. And we're talking about want to get away. In this case, if you happen to get away at the airport, you're likely to grab a snack or two. Well, now we have a new list of the top snacks in America while at the airport. Can't wait to chat about that. In the meantime, let's chat weather, shall we? Caesar joins us right here on the Live Zone. Hello, my friend.
Hello, Guy. I'm hoping everyone's been enjoying their Tuesday because, you know, it's not too bad, right?
Yeah.
Have a little bit of clouds, and that's usually what we see before we get that rain.
Now, before we get to the rain, Caesar, I want you to take a look at this. So this is what I saw you doing yesterday. Now,
yeah.
Do tell, sir.
So they asked me, usually Tucker does the high heel run or race. So they asked me since Tucker was off, and I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's have some fun. And surprisingly, we found a pair that kind of fit.
Yeah.
I was able to squeeze into them, and you know what? I thought running in cleats on hard concrete was tough. This was even tougher than that. I was like, no. I think one and done. I'm retired now.
Yeah. The best part about it is I saw Jacqueline running beside you, and then she actually beat you.
She beat me, yes. You know, she does have some experience being in heels, but the worst part, I think, was of it all was the fact that she was like, I'm passing you, Caesar. I'm like, no.
Good stuff. Yet again, the DC high heeled race is actually taking place today, correct?
Yes, yes. It's later on. It's in the evening time here on Tuesday. It should be fun. Looks like it's going to be a big blast.
Okay. All right. So the $1 million question is, will rain be in the forecast as well?
So far right now, it's looking to stay dry for the event. So that's going to be the good thing. We do see clouds building in, though, and that's, again, usually that precursor before we have all of that rain making its way in. Most of the rain is going to be really relegated towards that Wednesday and Thursday time frame. So that's really going to be that main area, time of concern, let's call it, for that rain. And especially as we then head in towards Halloween for the end of the work week, well, you know what? We do have a cooler and breezier setup for us, but it is dry. So that is going to be the important thing. Temperatures will still hang around those mid to upper 50s throughout a lot of our area. We see wind gusts hanging around 28 miles an hour at time during the afternoon hours, but winds will be sustained between 10 and 20 out of the northeast. So again, going to be a little bit breezy. Looking at lows tonight, breezy conditions still hold on, and temperatures will be back down in towards those 40s. Cloud cover will keep us a little bit warmer, so not going to see as many widespread 30s for our morning temperatures. But tomorrow, we expect to see some rain showers towards the evening time frame. So that is going to be something that really starts to impact us. So if you have a little bit of a later night on Wednesday, well, you could see some rain showers. But if you start the day early on Thursday, that is certainly when you start to see a lot of the rain. Tomorrow, everyone's going to be seeing temperatures in those mid to upper 50s, more cloud cover again, because we do have that system making its way into our area. And even in the southeast zones, again, mid to upper 50s, still hanging with us. And even in the northwest zones, right? Look at that. Boom. Western Maryland could even see temperatures still just hovering around 52 degrees in Cumberland. Most areas will still be around the mid to low 50s. But hey, temperature trend though. We do warm back up towards Thursday. Friday still sticking around at 60, but the one bad thing about that 65 degrees on Thursday is it comes with rain, and that rain can be heavy at times. Again, this next system that really drives in towards Thursday morning really is expected to bring some heavy showers at times. So certainly something to keep in mind, especially for the morning commute. And then after that, boom, Friday looking dry, breezy. Not too bad for Halloween. Rainfall amounts between Wednesday morning, and let's just say it fully wraps up everything. Friday morning, well, we could see about 1.5 inches of rain in the district, so a little bit of some rain showers really prevailing there. Halloween forecast, though, temperature 60 degrees. Still going to see some wind gusts at about 25 miles an hour. Chilly after sunset, so make sure to have the kids in layers or maybe get some breaks or something to keep them a little warm, because we are going to be dealing with those winds. Overall, though, 7-day forecast is not looking bad as we head in towards the weekend. So we just have to get over that middle of the week rain system, and then by the time we get towards Saturday, Sunday, again, gain an hour of sleep. Just make sure to set your clocks back before you're going to bed for Sunday morning. Then you'll see temperatures still hanging in those upper 50s for us.
Yeah, good stuff. I love falling back into major way. To your point, you get that extra hour.
You get that extra hour of sleep.
By the way, you're doing double duty today. You're going to stick around and in the 1 o'clock hour, join us for the latest on Hurricane Melissa.
Yes, and I'm excited for that.
All right, good stuff. All right, folks, if you haven't already done so yet, make sure you download the Fox Local app. That way you can take that forecast with you any and everywhere you go. All right, guys, if you're counting, it is now day 28 of the government shutdown, and there is still no signs of a breakthrough to reopen the government, as both parties remain firm in their positions. A GOP-led funding bill is expected to fail again in the Senate, as Democrats insist the shutdown won't end until President Trump gets involved. Joining us live in studio, Andrea Kaye from the Andrea Kaye Show, political strategist. Good to see you, Andrea.
So good to be with
live
you in person. I know. Finally.
Normally you're on the other side of that little camera right there.
Exactly. Normally there's a barrier between you and my insanity and my hardcore conservatism.
Well, let's jump into it and see how conservative you can be today. The government shutdown, as you heard me make mention, continues. Still no end in sight. We know some 700,000 federal employees remain furloughed. It's the multi-million-dollar question. When will this come to an end?
Well, I think now that the largest union for federal workers, which covers about 800,000 workers, has come forth and blamed the Democrat Party for the shutdown and said, look, Democrats, y'all need to sign this continuing resolution pronto so we can get our people back to work. I think that has put the pressure on the Democrats and Chuck Schumer. So, and in fact, Speaker Johnson said today, he said, look, Chuck, you got an off ramp now because you can blame it on the unions and say, look, now I'm under union pressure. We got to sign this continuing resolution and get on with it. It's time. There's too many people suffering, Guy.
Yeah, not only that, but I'm thinking about air travel. You just flew here to the nation's capital. And, and yet again, I'm curious, any issues with regard to, let's say, going through TSA or anything of that nature?
Well, it's funny you should ask. Not for me, because for the first time in my life, I was glad I had to be at the airport at 4 a.m. Because those that got there at 5, I think about 20 people missed my flight alone. Wow. And the backups at TSA just continued throughout the day in San Diego. So there's just too much suffering going on for everybody. And of course, I thanked the workers at TSA who showed up that day, but some didn't. And you know what? I can't blame them. I really can't.
We have said this time and time again, and that is no matter what side of the fence you sit on, this needs to come to an end. There are thousands that are really being affected by this, and quite honestly, at this extent, now going hungry. Got to bring it to an end. Let's move on to President Trump's nearly week-long visit to Asia. It continues. Earlier today, he delivered remarks to American troops aboard the USS George Washington aircraft carrier in Japan. Now, the president also signed an agreement with Japan to speed up cooperation on the processing of critical minerals and rare earth materials. Your thoughts on this, Andrea?
Well, first of all, I love seeing my commander-in-chief back with the military. His entrance today was quite epic. To see Top Gun himself come down on that aircraft carrier. Look, I grew up in the military, so I love anything related to the military. And I love what President Trump is doing, meeting with these world leaders. We now have a historic leader in Japan. A woman was elected. She's considered conservative, and she's already got the framework in place with President Trump regarding rare minerals. But also, we're expecting an announcement on over $100 billion of investment in them buying Ford trucks, despite the fact that the streets over there in Japan, Guy, are a little too narrow for the Ford trucks. But only my man Trump could get them to buy some big old trucks that they don't even have room for.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out sometime yet again in the near future. We'll end with this, and that is, well, the big talk of the town right here in the DMV, and I'm making reference to the gubernatorial race in Virginia. We know that Democratic candidate Abigail Spanberger leads Republican nominee Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears by, according to the latest stats, some 7 percentage points, 50% to 43% among Virginia likely voters. Your take on this?
Well, my take, first of all, I know you're too smart to believe that poll, Guy. Look, and Americans stopped believing polls when they told us Hillary had a 93% chance of winning back in the day. But if you are going to believe polls, look at Trafalgar, that has the race at only a 2% difference. And my money is on my girl, Winsome Sears, who's currently lieutenant governor. Her experience, her intellect, her character, her integrity is just really going to push her over for the win. So Count me in. Count me on that one. It's going to be winsome.
Yet again, we will have continuous coverage throughout the remainder of the week as that gubernatorial race heats up yet again in my home state of Virginia. Can I ask, why are you visiting the nation's capital?
Well, in addition to the fact that I just love D.C. and it's always a reminder to me of how great our country is, I'm here visiting family, and I'm also here for an incredibly important event involving election integrity. I'm here with a group, I want to make sure I get the name right, Real America Vote, who has actually filed a lawsuit against Letitia James for conspiracy against rights for voters in New York. Going to be a lot of media coverage, and we might even have the DOJ here. But I want to end on a note. I want to lift up the folks in Jamaica. I want to extend thoughts and prayers to them today. I'm incredibly concerned.
Yet again, the hurricane said to be more powerful than Hurricane Katrina. That is something for us to truly be concerned about. The Andrea Kaye Show, folks can listen how, when?
Just go to theandreakayeshow.com and get all the details there.
Easy as 1, 2, 3. Always good to see you.
You too, Guy. Thanks for having me
here on the Live Zone. Well, as the shutdown continues in near its 4th week, millions of Americans are going without pay. Some 42 million SNAP recipients may lose food assistance if funding isn't approved soon. My next guest says this is more reason for bipartisan negotiations, noting that the Affordable Care Act and healthcare subsidies remain key points of contention. I'm referring to Miss Tamia Booker, CEO of T. Booker Strategies, joining us yet again on the Live Zone. Ms. Booker, good to see you, and thank you so much for coming on the show. So let's jump right into this. You know, I got to ask you, there are so many folks that are now being affected by this, and I'm hoping you can give us your point of view on the human and economic toll of the government shutdown on working families.
Yes, absolutely. So first, you know, we were talking about how the the Democrats were 10 toes down in making sure that subsidies for healthcare were covered. And so understandably and respectfully get why we would hold until we could figure out a way to afford healthcare. I just got my notice in the mail about my premium going up over $100 a month. So I appreciate them fighting for us. I think what's hard now is that we're in a rock and a hard place. We have the economic toll that it will take eventually, but now we have a situation where families will not be able to eat because the SNAP benefits are going to run out. The administration has said they are at a point now where November 1st is looking very bleak. And what we can't have are people who are hungry. We can't have hungry children, right? So now we're at a place where we have to figure out what is the middle ground, because we can't let this continue.
Yeah, you know, to me, I saw a soundbite or a young lady speaking the other day, and she said, how are we, arguably the richest country in the world, and yet again, we are faced with those that could possibly go hungry because of failed lawmakers? This is truly concerning. It should not be that we are dealing with this.
We shouldn't. And when you think about how we manage to find money for other things like wars, it is frustrating to see. And we have to remember that many SNAP recipients are workers. So these are people who are working and still can barely afford their day-to-day, and that's a problem. We also need to fix that as well. So that is something that the legislature needs to take up once we open government again.
And so I want to be clear here, and I want to make sure my audience fully understands as well, and that is that this whole fight really boils down to, let's say, healthcare subsidies and the ACA amid funding stallings. Is that correct?
That is correct. And listen, I worked at the Department of Health and Human Services right after the ACA was passed. That was 15 years ago. We are still having the same fights. And it is unfortunate that healthcare costs are still so controversial in this country. We have to get to a place where we are okay. We are more than okay. We are advocates to make sure people have adequate healthcare. And it's frustrating to see that we are here once again.
All right. And so we'll end with this, and that is, how do we get there? I know it's you nor I have a crystal ball sitting in front of us, but as you heard me just make mention with my last guest, this is ridiculous. It needs to come to an end.
It does. And I think both parties have to come to the table at this point, right? Like the blame game has gone back and forth for the last 4 weeks. But at this point now, it's time for them to compromise on both sides and figure out a solution to open the government again. People can't keep going without paychecks, and people can't go without food. It's time to end this. I hope it's soon. I thought it was going to be last week, but alas, here we are again. So hopefully we'll get to some type of resolution by the end of the week.
Yeah, yet again, day 28 of the government shutdown. We have been speaking with Tamia Booker, CEO of T. Booker Strategies, kind enough to join us on the Live Zone. Ms. Booker, I truly appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Well, President Trump's favorability rating among Hispanics has fallen dramatically since his inauguration. A new Associated Press poll shows only 25% of Hispanic adults now have a somewhat or very favorable view of the president, which is down from 44% from a similar poll done in early January. To discuss why Hispanics feel this way, we welcome longtime immigration attorney and founder of immigration law firm USA for All, Renata Castro, back here on the Live Zone. Ms. Castro, always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Great to see you as well. I continue holding hope. We will be here to discuss positive news when it comes to immigration.
Yeah.
Soon to come.
Yeah. Well, I guess, that being said, what are you seeing really within the Hispanic community?
It doesn't surprise me. In the beginning of the Trump campaign, I suspected an alignment with immigrant communities or minority communities with the discourse that Trump was promoting, that the country was being invaded, because let's face it, most people don't have a full understanding of how immigration law works. So it was very easy to say that people were pouring through the border when that was actually not necessarily true. We just had an accounting of the people coming through the border. And following US law, which asylum law requires the present at the border to claim an asylum protection and fight your case. So now that we've had enough time to see the outcome of the Trump policies, I think that Hispanics feel betrayed. They did not expect that the good Hispanics would also be a target of the government, but unfortunately, that is just what happened.
So it's no secret, Renata, we have seen a number of Latinos and Hispanics rounded up, if you will, during the raids. And I wonder, have you had the opportunity to speak with those who, their families, if you will, that perhaps cast a vote for the current president? Do they feel differently?
They do feel differently. They feel betrayed. They feel like they cast their vote relying on Trump's assurance that he would only go after the criminals. But what people didn't realize is that for the Trump administration, anyone who was in the United States that could be even fighting their case, who have a legal claim, is a perceived criminal. So at this point, they feel betrayed, but it's a little too late to make a decision until it's time to cast a vote again. And I am curious to see how this distancing from the Trump agenda will translate into the voting precincts when it comes time for local and state elections in about a year.
All right. And so with that being said, how can the courts, if you will, really resolve some of these outstanding immigration issues?
It is such a coin toss. I never thought that we would see the day that courts would give so much latitude to the federal government and such resistance in chastising, in some circuits, in chastising some government wrongdoing. Listen, this is not partisan position. This is a legal analysis. So I believe that we will start seeing a big discrepancy in precedent law now more than ever in certain circuits that are not necessarily more liberal or more conservative, but where judges are less apprehensive about political retaliation. I think that everyone from officers at USCIS to career government employees that are looking to further their profession with the government, everyone is just on their pins and needles and avoiding making decisions that could draw the fury of Donald Trump. So I think courts are, in some instances, going along the same narrative, and I hope that this is just a derail, but that we go back to what America really is about, that the law favors and punishes everyone and anyone, irrespective of their creed, of their color, because we should be an impartial country and not a country that looks to favor an individual in disregard for the law.
Yet again, we have been speaking with longtime immigration attorney and founder of immigration law firm USA for All, Renata Castro, right here on the Live Zone. I truly appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, we'll take our first break. On the flip side of that break, Al Reynolds joins us for our Tuesday Talkers. He's next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. It is Tuesday, and it is time for our Tuesday Talkers with the one, the only media personality and professor extraordinaire, Mr. Al Reynolds.
That's
so
right.
Good
Always good to see you, buddy.
You are wearing that blazer, my friend.
Thank you, man.
So whatever it is, I love that.
It's warm. That's all I know, because D.C. is cold.
Yeah, especially when you spend a lot of time in Los Angeles like you have in
That's
the
right.
past. All right, we're talking about our Tuesday Talkers, and in this case, these are the stories that you folks are discussing at home. We're going to start it off with snacks, but not just any snacks. The snacks folks are eating while at the airport. According to a newly released study, we now know the top 5 snacks that folks love to eat, Al. Coming in at number 5, Twizzlers. It's got to be the red Twizzlers for me.
Got to be the red Twizzlers. Yeah, okay. I can see that.
Number
yeah,
4, Cheetos Flaming Hot and Crunchy. Yeah, but it's all that orange
Yeah, on my
powder.
fingers, and then it gets stuck in my teeth.
Oh,
These are
gosh.
good teeth, too. I don't...
I know that's right. I paid for mine, too. Number 3, Cheetos Puffs.
I love those.
Really?
I do. Only thing I don't like is the residue on your hands, but that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite travel snacks. So they got that one right.
Okay. Number 3 happens to be, beef jerky. How about that?
I love a good beef jerky. It's quick
Really?
protein. It brings my energy back up. That with a cup of coffee or Gatorade is a winner for me, too.
Okay. Number 2 happens to be M&M's.
Oh, I love M&M's.
Really? Mm-hmm. Peanut or plain?
Peanut if I want to enjoy it, plain if I need energy.
Okay. Well, you're good with this. And taking the top spot, drum roll, please.
Okay.
Oreo cookies.
I like a good Oreo cookie, but I
Yeah.
don't eat them in the airport.
I'm
do you?
with you on that.
Do you eat them in the airport?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't even eat them really.
I don't see them in the airport.
Yeah. That's just interesting that of all the things that
It's an
you could
Oreo
actually, purchase, for me, what's really a go-to is a drink. And typically it's a
Yes.
beer. If I'm flying, let's say over 4 hours, I'm going for my scotch.
Yeah, I need something stronger too. I'm usually at the bar. I usually arrive early, believe it or not, to the airport. I try to have a drink so I can calm down. You know I'm in the airport quite a bit.
Yeah, you are.
So I've tried everything in that airport.
So it's really interesting. Yet again, Oreo cookies, the numero uno snack that Americans are eating once they arrive to take off on their flight.
I'm gonna start looking for it.
Okay, I'll pass. Let's talk about spending, not my money, your money, my friend.
Okay.
In this case, we're talking about how much you spend after receiving your paycheck and how Gen Z and millennials use it. According to a new survey, most people spend a third of their paycheck within the first 12 hours, meaning it goes direct deposit right into your bank account within 12 hours. A third of it happens to be gone. The highest spending generations today, who spend an average of 40% with those in the first few hours, happen to be none other than millennials. Within 48 hours, 48% of the average paycheck is already spent. Why do I feel like my entire paycheck is gone as soon as I get it?
No, I feel like for me, I must be a millennial or something, even though the number don't match, because I really think that all my bills are waiting for that direct deposit.
Yep.
Because once that direct deposit hits, it's all gone.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happens or why that happens, but I think I do it in 6 hours.
I think I'm kind of with you, especially during this time of the year. Let's see, today is October 28th. What's
You might
coming
as well
up?
say it's Christmas. I mean,
Well, not
Black
only
Friday's
that-
going to be here in 2 days.
Yeah.
Christmas is going to be here in 10. All our money's gone for the next 3 months.
I'm thinking Bone Thugs and Harmony. It's the first of the month.
Right. Oh, yes.
And that rent is due. And
Especially if
boy,
you live in D.C. or New
Yeah.
York or even Los Angeles. Yeah, that takes a big chunk of your money.
Yeah, it's so interesting, though, how most of us just immediately get that paycheck, and then as soon as you get it, it's gone. The
Right.
interesting thing, though, is that it's funny. Producer Chris and I, we were talking about this yesterday. Some months you'll get a third paycheck, at the end of the month, if the way the calendar is set up right.
Guy
I'm
Lambert,
living high on the
I
hog,
am
man.
not listening to you. All this hosting you do, you have like 12 paychecks a month.
no.
I will not have empathy for you ever, buddy. You're sucking up all the money all around. You're flying here, there. Keep up the great work, though. But if you're ever tired, you can tell them I would be a great substitute.
Oh, that is too funny. Yet again, let me borrow $1. We'll end with this. This is really interesting to me. According to a new study, men who break traffic rules make the best husbands, according to psychologists. You see, apparently, men who do just that, well, they're able to adapt on the spot. They have quick thinking skills and are good problem solvers, all traits that can often carry over into marriage and family life. What are you thinking about that, Al?
This is really interesting. I'm actually intrigued about that. If you break traffic laws, that means you don't follow rules. but you make a great father or a great husband or both. Great
family man.
Well, listen, I tried it once. Didn't work out so good. I tried driving once too. Didn't work out so good. I think I'm gonna stay in my lane.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you pointed it out. If you're breaking rules driving, why would you not break rules within your marriage?
Right.
AKA cheating.
Right.
So it's really interesting that, that psychologists actually found this to be true.
Maybe I think in a marriage, maybe a lot of women are looking for men that take control and solve the problem, get it done. So breaking the rules is a part of solving the problem and getting it done. So, hey, maybe that's what they like.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a fantasy thing.
Yeah, I guess so. Running red lights, not my thing. I don't want to get hit.
I don't.
Okay, full disclosure, I have done that a little illegal U-turn thing. You're not supposed to make an illegal. I mean, come on, haven't we all?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
I'm
good.
not going all the way around the block. Who does that?
But that wasn't me, by the way, right here in front of Fox 5, because we have one of those illegal U-turn signs right here. Was it me? It was him.
Listen, I don't even drive. So.
What are you working on, my friend?
Oh, man, we just finished the Google Regional Leadership Symposium at Bowie State University, which is a big activation that I did there at the university. Let's see what else I have come up. We have homecoming coming up this weekend, so we're super excited about that. And what else? Oh, I'm getting really excited because award season is getting ready to kick off.
Yeah.
So as you know, award season is always a great time to review film, television, see what's working, what's not working, which are the big hits, box office hits, and I can't wait to start it off with the Golden Globes.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to see your reviews. They are always truly amazing. Al Reynolds with our Tuesday Talkers joining us right here on the Live Zone. I truly appreciate you.
Absolutely, sir.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. It is now 2 minutes past the bottom of the hour. Just about a half hour ago or so, we heard right here at our Bethesda-based studios what appeared to be somewhat of a flyover. We're now getting word that it appears to be the Blue Angels flying in formation. They started over D.C., and it happened over the National Mall as well. You're taking a look at a video of just that happening a little over a half hour ago. Still no word as to what exactly happened to be taking place, but perhaps a promotional video. Why do I say that? Well, as you take a look at it again, look at that 7th jet. It's flying at somewhat of a distance, and so that would mean perhaps that, well, the pilots inside that jet and or the co-pilot happen to be taking video. Either way, it was really cool. We heard the flyover right here at our Bethesda studios, and as you can see, we now have video of that just happening a little over a half hour ago. Should we find out exactly what that was all about? Of course, we'll let you know right here on the Live Zone. How cool is that? Speaking of cool, well, the Commanders, they were cool, calm, and collected last night, at least for the first half, as they took on the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, the second half didn't really work out, and ultimately, they ended up falling to the Chiefs, 28-7, the final score. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Kelsey Nicole Nelson, back here on the Live Zone, sports analyst extraordinaire. Always good to see you, Kelsey.
Good to see you, Guy. And while we might not know what's happening with the Blue Angels, we do know what's happening with the Commanders, and it's not looking good right now for the team in Washington, Guy. So not a lot of happy faces this morning in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, you heard me touch on it. I got to tell you, I watched the first half, and quite honestly, I was surprised. We saw turnover after turnover, but, well, daggone it, the Commanders just couldn't capitalize, Kelsey.
Yeah, it's hard. You see this Commanders team coming off a 22-point loss to the rival Dallas Cowboys. And you talk about that second half. Terry McLaurin, after the game, called this a tale of two halves, if you look at the game. And head coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, actually called the first half downright weird. You talked about it. That first quarter, it wasn't that exciting, right? But we end the half 7-7. You're kind of feeling confident, again, against the Kansas City Chiefs team in Arrowhead, where we know the Kansas City Chiefs are very good. You had Patrick Mahomes with two uncharacteristic interceptions in that first half. And by the way, with the interceptions, Patrick Mahomes actually did credit Marshawn Lattimore, who's kind of had a rougher season this year, with a good interception on him. And we know Bobby Wagner getting the other one. But the second half, 21 unanswered points, Guy. So you look at that, Travis Kelce having his best game of the season, finishing with 99 yards and a touchdown. And we know how dynamic Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce can be, and really nothing really able to get going, especially a lot of people looking at that run game, Guy.
Yeah.
20 carries for 60 yards, not all by the running backs. And this is a Washington team that started first in the NFL, folks, with yards per carry. So all in all, again, I think there's a lot of worry right now as Washington has now dropped 3 straight. It doesn't help that you're going to have another primetime game on Sunday, again, against a winning squad. So all in all, just not what you wanted to see, again, against a talented Chiefs team that did give you opportunities that the Commanders just weren't able to capitalize on.
All right, Kelsey, I'm going to try to stay optimistic here. And I heard everything you just said, but sheesh. Yeah. let's just talk about Terry McLaurin for 1 minute. First and foremost, we saw he showed up and showed out in a major way, getting his first touchdown of the season. Yet again, a lot of questions behind him. We got that big contract. Show me the money. Well, the Commanders showed him the money, but then he was shown the bench, if you will, because he was injured. Well, now returned in a major way. That's something to look forward to, knowing that he immediately made an impact.
Yeah, 3 catches for 54 yards. And when we found out that Terry McLaurin would be healthy for this game, again, still battling that hamstring, and we're still watching that guy, by the way, after this game, and also getting Debo back, that was a big boost. He had 2 incredible catches in that game last night, right? You saw the toe touch. I mean, Terry McLaurin doing Terry McLaurin things, but you talked about it with the contract. There was a lot of big expectations, but we know the injury bug has hit this Commanders team hard. As we're talking about Terry McLaurin coming back, we saw left tackle Larry Tunsil, right, go down in that game. So all in all to say, again, I think, you want so much more from Terry, but health is going to be wealth for Terry McLaurin staying on that football field. I do think, again, he was a boost. He is incredible. But this is a team that really does need some more consistent offensive production. There's a lot of people looking at Cliff Kingsbury because nothing was, again, really able to going. That first drive was probably really the most exciting drive, right? But then they weren't able to capitalize, in that football game. But Terry McLaurin, again, Washington is going to need him. His veteran status, if they do want to do something. We've got 9 games left in the season, Guy, and this is the time now for Washington to turn it around if we do want to look at anything like last season.
All right. Well, yet again, we're trying to be optimistic. I can tell you one thing, though. At least during the first half, the defense for the Commanders, they definitely turned it around in a major way after catching a lot of flack, Kelsey.
Yeah, the defense needed this. I think it was a big boost. Something a lot of people that are talking about, Guy, right now is the Commanders being the oldest team right now in the National Football League. The only other close teams in terms of age are the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills. But all in all, like you said, holding the Chiefs, folks, to 7 points, 7-7 at the first half, that is commendable, especially on the road. And remember, Darnell Savage actually almost had that forced fumble. The Chiefs are one of the best teams in terms of recovering fumbles, but that would have been yet another turnover. So I know the second half, a lot of people are questioning the defense, but that first half, I do think the defense gave the offense opportunities that they just weren't able to capitalize on, guys. So like you said, I try to stay positive. You can look at it, the hard thing is that 3 of the 3 teams that they have coming up, 2 of them have winning records. The team with the losing record is the Dolphins. Of course, we'll all be watching the Dolphins this Thursday to take on the Baltimore Ravens. So that's probably the one team I would give them the win. There's a lot happening in Miami, Guy. But the road ahead will not be easy for the Washington Commanders.
Yeah. How about we end on a positive note? In this case, case, we're talking about can you hear me? Houston, you got me?
Yes, I can hear you
Okay,
great.
cool. In this case, we're talking about the Commanders' tight end, Zach Ertz. He showed up in a major way. In this case, correct me if I'm wrong, but during Monday night's game, the Washington Commanders veteran became only the 6th tight end in NFL history with at least 800 career receptions. He has plenty of elite company. We're talking Hall of Famers Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, and Shannon Sharp. It's you got the whole theme here. We're staying optimistic.
We're staying optimistic. I will stay positive. And, Zach Ertz is somebody I would like to be more utilized. Zach Ertz, a veteran tight end, I think he's been solid for Washington. I call him Mr. Reliable Guy. I mean, he's very special. One of the best parts of the game, I thought, was when he actually embraced Travis Kelce post-game. And just on the theme of tight ends, Travis Kelce also making history on the other side. I know that's the opposing team, but he actually tied Priest Holmes for Kansas City Chiefs for most touchdown in Kansas City Chiefs history. So if anything, there were some positives for the tight ends coming out of this game in terms of history. But Zach Ertz, I do think, will need to be a weapon, again, that the Commanders are going to have to find to be more shifty if they want to make this offense more explosive. But Commanders fans, the biggest thing, cross your fingers and put prayers up again just for this team to be able to stay healthy, because obviously you also want JD5 back on that football field to give them the best chances of winning.
All right, so I'm crossing fingers not only for JD5, but that they take on the Seahawks and come out victorious. I think I'm going to have a third hand to cross that and make that happen.
Cross all the fingers, Guy. Keep them crossed.
Yet again, we've been speaking with Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Good to see you. Have a great one. And Commanders fans, looking forward to Sunday again. Prayers up. Thanks,
Let's
Guy.
go,
Have a great
Commanders.
one.
You bet. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. Hey, on the flip side of that break, we're talking Halloween safety for your kids. That's coming up next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. It is now 12:42. Question. It's the $1 million question. What would you do with $1 million? Author and entrepreneur Joel Steele, he says he plans to give it away to charity if his new book sells, get this, 1 million copies. In this case, the name of the book is dubbed Life Switch, How to Experience the Power of Living On. I should make mention that Mr. Steele traces his candid story of resilience and reinvention. Blending unflinching personal narrative with practical advice, he reveals strategies for unlocking potential, rediscovering passion, and transforming adversity into opportunity. And with that, we welcome Mr. Joel Steele to the Live Zone. Mr. Steele, good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. I love the positive football talk before this, and living on and recognizing the power we have is what it's all about.
I am so glad that you joined me, and I am so excited about this segment, about this conversation you and I are going to have. Your story, sir, is really made for a movie. Correct me if I'm wrong, but before turning 25, you already faced jail, bankruptcy, and a near-death experience. However, instead of harping on that, you really transformed them into stepping stones. Oh, do tell.
Absolutely. You're right. I had a tough start to my life, but anybody, and I've gone through this personally, so I can tell you anything is possible. The life you're living right now might be a parallel life to one that you can live. So you have to start with setting the vision and having a realization that anything is possible. Whatever vision you set, you can start to work towards that vision. And there's basic steps. I start with, you understand anything is possible, right? That's potential. Then there's passion. There's something within you that you love to do that makes you feel alive and excited to get out of bed every day. And then purpose. You're on a journey. You have an opportunity every day to pursue something. So the question is, why are you here? And it's exciting that we all have an answer to that, but we have to figure out for ourselves what that is. So those are some basic steps. But ultimately, this life, it goes quickly, and you can make the most out of it if you want, no matter where you've been or where you're at. Where you're going is really all that matters right now.
Wow, I absolutely love this. Mr. Steele, I have a buddy of mine. He, at one point, he's obviously suffering from cancer, and I believe it was stage 4. And I remember he told me, he said, Guy, the doctors came to me and said that, I'm not going to make it. And they wanted me to, in essence, sign everything I needed to sign before I passed. And he said, I refused to sign it, and I told them I'm going to make it. And he said it was all about my mindset. Well, he made it, and then the doctor said, we have never seen anything like this before. And so, yet again, is it all about the mindset, or is that what you're saying?
1000%. The mind should drive the body, not the other way around. Again, if you believe something and you can remove or delete doubt from your mind, I honestly believe that will trickle down through your body and you can make that happen. But you have to believe it. And that's what your friend did. And that's such a powerful story. And that's a great example of what anybody can do if they honestly believe in themselves 100%. It all starts in your mind.
All right. Well, I got to tell you, I believe in you. So in that case, in the near future, you're going to be giving away $1 million to a charity. The catch is, and it's not really a catch, but I fully understand, and that is you have to sell 1 million copies of your book. How did this come to be, and why are you doing this?
I wrote the book to give back. Ultimately, who I am, my purpose is to help others. I've helped people with their physiques. I've helped people with their diets. I've helped people with their finances. And I've only been able to do that on a one-on-one basis. So writing the book, putting everything about my experiences, the lessons I've learned the hard way so other people don't have to, I wanted to share this with the world. But I realized that there's a lot of books and we can do more together. So I'm trying to prove another point in this book that we can do anything, that anything is possible. Selling 1 million copies isn't to make money, it's to get the messages out there. And all people have to do is get a book, and they are going to help contribute towards that 7-figure donation. I've never been so excited to write a big check in my life.
Yeah, yet again, this is really awesome. Mr. Steele, I always ask when I have an author on the favorite chapter, in this case, your favorite chapter, and why?
That's tough. But I would say that my favorite chapter right now is chapter 9, because other people have been moved by that more than any other chapter in this book. And it's talking about not just my story, but other people that I've gotten to know who have found themselves and their purpose and their passion, and they've taken it to a level of potential that they never thought was possible. So that right now is my favorite chapter, and I love that people are loving the book.
Yeah, well, we absolutely love it as well. This is just such a cool thing. And I'll tell you what, we'll have you back on, and when you do, and you'll tell my audience that, quite honestly, not only did you, sell 1 million books, you sold 2 million books, and hopefully you'll break the news at that point that you gave away not 1 million, but 2 million bucks.
Absolutely. I will keep doing this. I can do this all day.
Yet again, Mr. Joel Steele. He is the author of, you see the book right there on your TV screen. Let's pull it up, Joey. In this case, it's called Life Switch, How to Experience the Power of Living On. Mr. Steele, folks that want to get their hands on it, how would they go about to do so?
You can go to Barnes & Noble, you can go to Amazon, you can visit my website, bookjoelsteele.com, but it's everywhere, hardcover, ebook, and audiobook.
Good stuff. I really enjoyed this. You're doing a good thing and giving back in a major way. I can't wait to have you back on the show to share the great news. Mr. Joel Steele, author, joining us on the Live Zone. Make it a great day, my friend.
Thank you.
You bet.
You too. Take care. Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. Hey, on the flip side of that break, the countdown is on. Halloween right around the corner, just, 3 days away to be exact. However, parents, are you making sure that your kids are safe when they go about trick-or-treating? We'll speak with an expert about just that next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. With Halloween just days away, well, Safe Kids Worldwide reveals that children are 3.5 times more likely to be fatally injured by a car on Halloween than any other day of the year. Most incidents happen between 5:30 and 9:30 p.m. with trick-or-treaters. Well, they're out and about doing just that, trick-or-treating. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Sadiqa Kendi, Dr. Sadiqa Kendi at that. She's an officer with Safe Kids Worldwide and kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Dr. Kendi, truly appreciate your time and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let's jump into this. I got to tell you, on what is that Toys R Us song? I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. I'm one of those. I'm one of those that if given the opportunity, I'm still trick or treating, and I'm proud of it. However, the focus is on our children, and that's a startling stat to know that kids are 3.5 times more likely to be fatally injured by a car on Halloween. Do tell. What are we working with here?
So Halloween is actually the most dangerous day of the year for children walking. So more children are injured as pedestrians on Halloween than any other day. So there are several things that you can do to really think about keeping your kids safe as they're out enjoying Halloween and trick-or-treating. Trying to make sure that costumes are not too long, that they can walk comfortably in them. Doing face paint over masks is important because you don't want to obstruct their vision. And so making sure that they can see well outside of their costume, making sure that their costume fits appropriately, those are all really important.
But Dr. Kendi, I'm curious because I know, let's say my niece happens to be 10 years old. And so I know that at that age, my sister, mom and or myself, I would actually be with my niece in order to make sure that, everything's okay. But apparently, are we saying that kids are trick-or-treating by themselves and then as a result are ending up in this position?
Not at all. And I would certainly recommend an adult to be there with their children, especially children under 12. And even some children older than 12 really should have a trusted adult with them while they're trick or treating. The challenge is, kids are excited, they're running from house to house, and that can be dangerous when they're away from their trusted adult. It can be much harder for drivers to see them. As it's getting dark, it is much harder to see children. And so that's one reason using something reflective, like something like this, like a necklace or bracelet, having something reflective on the costume or as part of the Halloween kind of trick or treat bag can be really helpful for making sure that children are seen.
Yeah, one thing we love on this show is props, and I'm so glad that you brought those props. And not only because, well, you could show our viewers, but yet again, we can stress the importance of making sure that kids and children are actually wearing those alongside their costume. Now, Dr. Kendi, I'm going to be honest with you. I remember being 10 years old, and I would say, Mom, Dad, it doesn't match my costume. But we need to make sure that they actually wear these, correct?
Definitely. And I think there are ways to make them cute, make them part of the costume. The other option is using a reflective bag. So something like this for actually collecting their treats that they are getting on Halloween. So even if it's not part of the costume, having a bag that's reflective or using reflective strips as an additional part of the costume can be really helpful.
All right, we have touched on what mom and dad can do and or the guardian of the child that's going about to trick or treat. I want to focus on the drivers now because they too have a responsibility, and that is to watch out for the kiddos that are doing just that, trick or treating.
Definitely. I mean, drivers need to be very careful all the time, but especially on Halloween. That's when we know that a lot more kids are going to be out on the streets, even as it's getting dark. So it's really important not to drive distracted. It's really important to keep an eye out for children, even when coming out of driveways or pulling into driveways. It's important to do it very slowly and to make sure there are no kids who are moving in or out of the driveway area or the street.
All right, and so we'll end with this, Dr. Kendi. Can you really share an overall message as we wrap up with parents as Halloween approaches to what they should really focus on in 3 days when it's time for the kiddos to head out and trick or treat?
I think the most important thing is both showing important pedestrian behaviors for children, but also really watching out for them, making sure that they're crossing at crosswalks, making sure that they have that reflective material as part of their costume or as part of their bag that they're carrying. So making sure that they can truly enjoy the holiday and enjoy those treats at the end of the day and not be in a position in which they're injured.
Well said. Yet again, we have been speaking with Dr. Siddiqa Kendi. She is an officer with Safe Kids Worldwide and kind enough to join us on the Live Zone. I truly appreciate your time, Dr. Kendi.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. From passionate protest to political punchline, the word woke has really sparked debate across the nation. But the question is, what fueled this transformation? We're now taking a look at the evolution of woke and its impact on American culture. Fox 5's Janae Addison with more.
And you know, we have to stay woke.
Our state is the state where woke goes to die.
Make no mistake, empathy is not weak or woke. And by the way, woke just means you give a damn about other people.
The term woke has seen significant changes in its use in American conversations. Born from the Black community as a call to action against systemic injustices, it's since transitioned into a buzzword in the world of politics.
So the first attestations of the use of the term woke were from the blues singer Lead Belly, and that interpretation was also carried over into the 60s when there was an effort to elevate Black pride and Black nationalism. But in the political arena, it's been ping-pong back and forth.
Over the past decade, woke has been adapted in discussions about education, public policies, and cultural issues.
When we think about the Democrats' use of the word woke, we might often see it as a description of people who are activists. But it's important to note that that use of the term is very different than the Republican use of the term. I think that one party has been successful in co-opting the word woke and using it as a way to talk about other things. If we reduce something to saying that it's woke, then that is to put a label on it that doesn't necessarily capture all the complicated things that might be happening with that political or social issue.
As woke continues to evolve, experts say its meaning is a reminder of how language can be reshaped, repurposed, and ultimately redefined.
Words shift and change again to suit community needs. Black people and marginalized folks in general, as we want to bring issues to light, we're going to continue to innovate and we're going to continue to find new words. So while you might not see woke in the future, maybe you'll see different other iterations of trying to get to the purpose of what woke was trying to explain, which is let's stay aware, let's be mindful of stuff that's going on around us.
Yet again, all things discussing woke. I'm curious, with your research, how has the word woke really impacted policies overall?
Yeah, so similar to what we just heard from experts, there's been an uptick in efforts to restrict certain programs, classes, and even training. So here in our region, we've seen those efforts primarily driven by the federal government in terms of targeting DEI initiatives.
Yeah, yet again, it's something we'll all have to keep a very close eye on. Janae Addison with the latest surrounding all things woke. Great job.
Thank you.
Right here on the Live Zone. We'll take a quick break. Guys, on the flip side of that break, Hurricane Melissa, just minutes away from striking Jamaica. We'll get the very latest right here, next on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, we are joined yet again with Caesar with the latest on Hurricane Melissa. Now, according to experts, stronger than Katrina as it continues to churn at a very slow pace. Caesar, this is quite devastating and quite concerning for those who live in Jamaica.
It really is, and especially as it continues to not only just go through Jamaica, but also other parts of the Caribbean. It is going to affect the island of Hispaniola, so areas like Haiti, where they're going to see a tremendous amount of rain as well, and also areas in Cuba. So it is not just the island of Jamaica, it is a much larger area that I feel like, is going to be severely impacted by this, especially for countries that depend on tourism. So this is going to impact their infrastructure and be a little bit more devastating than sometimes what smaller hurricanes could be. But to your point about Katrina, though, so Katrina got to a pressure of 901 millibars. That was a pretty big one, right? And Melissa, at a certain point, got below that at 892. So that is about 10 or so millibars, and that just shows just how strong it is. Yeah. So this is much stronger than what Katrina had gotten to at its peak, and this is hitting. It's really causing this havoc over top of the Caribbean at that strength. Katrina got to that peak before even making landfall over to Florida, and after re-entered parts of the Gulf. It never hit that strong for us. So it shows the magnitude of this hurricane that is so important to realize, because not only is it the rain or the wind, but it's also the long-lasting impacts for this area.
Let's talk about storm surge, because so many times we hear about that, but for those of us who, obviously I'm not a meteorologist and really don't understand the extent of it, but how that occurs and why, yet again, we are expected to see some major storm surge as a result of this hurricane.
Yes. So storm surge, basically what it is when you have the ocean, right? It's all around this island, and mostly, again, around coastlines as well. You have this storm with so much inertia, so much motion going with it. Yeah. It's dragging that water along with it. So as it has those winds, as winds create waves, it's also just continuously pushing all of that water against the shore. And as that water can't go anywhere else, it has to start to rise. You can't get waves breaking because it's just so much more water going onto the land. And as that water pushes onto land, that's where we get all of that much more dangerous surf and conditions. That's really what storm surge is. It's not the amount of rainfall that ends up coming down from the sky, it's the actual ocean coming onto land. So as you have it not only with winds, but also pressure, because again, low pressure allows for anything to start to kind of try to rise into the storm itself some. So you have choppier waves around the eye. That's why it's always super important as to where the eye is hitting, because not only is it following with the storm and the back end of it, but also that pressure difference actually allows for some of that ocean water to drag along even more, because it wants to rise up higher as there's less atmospheric pressure.
We're taking a look now at the storm's path, and I want you to walk us through this, because yet again, we see that as of right now, when it hits Jamaica, it will be a Category 5 hurricane, but then we see it slows down or decreases in power, if you will, becoming a 3, 2, and as we can see it move on and on. How does that happen and why?
So right now, what's happening with this is, especially in the Caribbean, usually there's a lot of warm water. If you go down there in vacation in the winter, you can jump in the water, it's still feeling comfortable. So there's usually all of that energy. That's why it stays at a 5 right now. But there's also tons of mountainous terrain out there. The islands all have some mountains, and that actually helps disrupt some of the circulation going on. So as it has to fight against the actual terrain itself, it loses strength. But that's also why it still stays at a 3, even though it's going over parts of Jamaica. Jamaica has some tall mountains out there, so it helps really disrupt a lot of it, but it still has warm water to work off of once it passes Jamaica and then hits the other side of Cuba, which also is mountainous, has some higher terrain. And as it continues to go forward, that's where it starts to go into cooler water, becomes a little bit more disrupted because there's also shear. So that's usually what we talk about in severe weather. That's what causes those tornadoes, things of that sort. Shear is actually bad for a tropical system because it doesn't allow it to stay organized. You want everything to stay stacked on top of each other, like a house of cards. If you start to move one way or another, that's usually really beneficial for mid-latitude storms, severe weather, thunders, like the severe thunderstorms that we get, things of that sort. That's where it's beneficial for that. for this type of a system, it is not beneficial at all because you want all that warm air stuck together, moving around.
We have also been told by officials that those that are in low-lying areas really need to evacuate ASAP and head to the hills, if you will. But yet again, a storm of this magnitude, will that really make a difference?
So it will in some part because, again, you are expecting to remove yourself from the surge. The storm surge is going to be extremely dangerous because of not only all of the extra water, but the also momentum of that water becoming very strong. So there's lots of currents and things of that sort that can become dangerous. That on top of the sewage and the pollution that could possibly be in that is also dangerous. Any cuts, anything like that, you could become sick from, and that becomes another issue then to deal with. But one thing of note is from the National Hurricane Center is that they mentioned, yes, get to higher ground for sure, because the storm surge is always some of the most deadliest points of this, but they also then deal with stronger winds. Usually at the surface, we start to see a little bit of friction that helps some of the winds slow down. The higher you go up, the stronger the winds do actually get, so they could face slightly stronger winds than they would normally at sea level, since you're getting a little higher up. But I'm not assuming that people are going to go to the tops of the mountain, hopefully, so there's at least that.
Yet again, our hearts and prayers are going out to those that are currently in Jamaica. The storm, dubbed to be worse than Hurricane Katrina. To think there's a storm of that magnitude is yet again very concerning. And obviously we'll have continuous coverage throughout the afternoon right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Caesar, we truly appreciate you sticking around with the latest. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Obviously, we have been covering all things with regard to Hurricane Melissa. The hurricane officially making landfall at this very moment in Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane. Winds sustained of at least 175 miles per hour. To put it quite honestly, folks, this is going to be a devastating storm for the country of Jamaica. It's predicted to be worse than Hurricane Katrina. Obviously, we'll continue to follow this throughout the afternoon as the hurricane yet again officially making landfall in Jamaica. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, let's take a live look there where just minutes ago we saw lawmakers scurrying about as day 28 of the government shutdown continues. The question is, will this come to an end? We're keeping a close eye on Capitol Hill, and should any lawmaker approach the podium to address the media, we will take you there live right here on the Live Zone. In the meantime, real estate professionals are increasingly using AI-generated images to market properties, offer virtual staging, renovations. However, this infiltration of AI imagery into the market also raises significant ethical questions and concerns and potential misrepresentation. Joining us now to discuss that and so much more is Mr. Mark Powell, licensed real estate broker, back here on the Live Zone. Good to see you, Mark. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Guy.
All right, so let's jump into this. In this case, we're talking about AI-generated images to market properties. I got to tell you, Mark, this is all new to me. I'm not familiar with it, and so I'm hoping you can elaborate. Should we be concerned? Is it okay, or should we not be concerned?
Well, when I first heard about the story, I thought about the first kind of AI-generated photos on dating sites. If you remember that, people will go on dating sites and they'll see a picture of somebody, but they're altered. The pictures are altered. Well, kind of that same application is going to on real estate sites. So you'll have a property that might be in distress, and the agent can use artificial intelligence. They use things like ChatGPT to kind of make the walls look better if they're chipped, or if they're not looking as colorful as they can, enhancing them. Or let's say the lawn is dead. They'll actually put in green grass. However, this is not against the rules. You can do these kind of things, but you have to disclose it. And one of the reasons why this is all occurring is because the cost to stage a vacant house can be anywhere between $3,000 and $4,000, but you can virtually stage it. You can take pictures of a sofa or pictures of a bed and put them in an empty room. However, you can't alter the physical nature of the room. You can't add a staircase. You can't add a door. And another thing that you might find on some of these images is they'll actually use AI to take things out. So let's say there may be a nice view, but it's blocked by power lines, and they erase the power lines. Or there might be a fire hydrant in the front yard. And it's having a fire hydrant in your front yard is good if your house catches on fire. However, you're not able to park your car there, so they might take out the fire hydrant. But if an agent does use AI to enhance a property, they have to disclose it. And there's rules. There's National Association of Realtor rules that say you can't mislead the public. You can't take a house and make it look so much better than it really is that when the people get there, they get disappointed. And there's also rules for the multiple listing service. That's where realtors put all of the information about a house, the room dimensions, how many square feet it is, and they add their pictures on there. If they're putting misleading or pictures that do not really represent the property, they can actually get fined by the multiple listing service for doing that.
Wow. Mark, so many questions. And by the way, great information in explaining it in detail. So first of all, yet again, this is more reason for me to always, and I mean always, read the fine small print. If you're stating that, quite honestly, that they can do this and it's legal. Second, you made mention of they can't over-represent, if you will, or overdo the property, and to my liking, or disliking, I should say. What's the line on that? I mean, that could vary between a potential buyer and someone that's actually selling it.
I can tell you that in this industry, if an agent is going to take somebody, let's say, to look at a house because they saw the images, and when the realtor gets there, the images don't look like the pictures, they will probably themselves, the realtor, call that listing agent and say, what's the story with your pictures? You're not representing the property accurately. So there's kind of a self-policing agency within realtors. We take care of ourselves. We make sure that everybody's towing the line and doing the right thing. But one thing, Guy, that is really going to change real estate is these immersion goggles. So, and I've actually done it. I've actually put immersion goggles on, and I've went inside some of these listings, and with these immersion goggles, through AI technology, I can actually virtually walk through a house. I mean, I feel like I'm standing in the living room, or I feel like I'm in the kitchen, right next to the stove, right next to the sink. So I think the real estate industry, with the advancement of AI, is going to be much different in the next few years, because you'll be able to actually go into homes, walk around the house without leaving your own living room through the use of these virtual goggles or immersion goggles, and the technology just keeps getting better and better. So it's going to be strange. I'm hoping that we don't have virtual or realtors that you can just create your own realtor that's going to take you through the house.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to come up next? But yes, those immersion goggles, they are something else. And because I actually did it, I heard about it. I went to the Apple Store. I put them on. And it was incredible. I felt like I was sitting in the living room, looking around, and you can zoom into the walls, you can zoom in here and there. It's incredible how this technology is changing not only real estate, it's changing the way we're doing a lot of things.
Yeah, high five going out to my producer, Joey, who was able to download a picture of those emerging goggles and bringing up for our viewers to see. And so, Mark, I'm curious, you as a broker, does this help you or hurt you overall? Meaning, the market is up sometimes, it's down sometimes. How do you foresee this really playing a role with regard to what you do, let's say, over the next couple of months?
Well, for me personally, I always recommend using real staging so that when the people do come there, they're not disappointed. Because the last thing you want is somebody to walk into a house and be so disappointed that they don't want to purchase that house. But I do see a cost savings because you can virtually stage a house for about $500 versus $3,000. So oftentimes that cost is passed on to the seller. That seller might say, well, you know what, just go ahead and do the virtual staging. The house is vacant. It's going to look much better with furniture in there. Let's take a little bit of a discount. But that doesn't mean you can go in there and let's say there's wood floors or there's carpet and you change the color of the wood floors or you change the color of the carpet, you make the carpets look a lot cleaner or you enhance the color of the walls. So this is cutting edge technology. And for me personally, I'm a little bit more traditional. I like to put the people in my car and say, let's go see the house and let's kick the tires and then see what we're really getting.
Information by Mr. Mark Powell, kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. I truly appreciate that. I learned a lot on this show, but by far this was perhaps the segment I learned the most today. And so good stuff.
Yeah.
I truly appreciate you, Mark.
Very kind. Thank you.
All right, guys. Yet again, we are following breaking news. Let's go ahead and take a live look at Jamaica. This is actually B-roll, but I want to bring folks up to speed. Hurricane Melissa has now made landfall on the island of Jamaica. We know that it is a Category 5 storm, bringing violent winds and significant risks for flash flooding from rain in the storm surge as it pushes across the island throughout the day. At last check, we now know that winds are sustained at some 185 miles per hour. This is going to cause some major devastation on that island, and obviously our hearts and prayers are going out to those who call Jamaica home. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. It is now 1:23. Time for a little Celebrity Dish. Joining us on Tuesdays, as he always does, the Media Prince back in a major way. Hello, Media Royalty. Welcome back to the show.
Me, the Guy Lambert. We are live in the zone.
All right, Media Prince, we got a lot to get to and a little time to do just that. So let's jump right into it. In this case, Glorilla and Brandon Ingram are making a case for NBA's new favorite power couple. I hope I pronounced his first name right, because fans went wild when the Raptor star landed a kiss on his rapper girlfriend right at her courtside seats. The cute moment happened when Ingram and the Toronto Raptors faced the Mavericks in Dallas on Sunday. Now, Glo was posted up courtside with her friend EJ King, and she made it crystal clear that she's Ingram's loudest cheerleader. What are you thinking about this?
Glorilla, she's in her bag right now. She's in her season. Glorilla. I just had to throw that out there. Every time you hear her name, you just have to say that, right? I like the season she's in. I think they're a beautiful couple. And of course, as of right now, her and Megan Thee Stallion are the two rap females that have the basketball players. So I think it's adorable. I like where Glorilla is in her career, and I think we are getting to see what she's like as a girlfriend as well. And this probably, I think, is her first high-profile relationship. Now, I wouldn't be Media Prince if I didn't pry a little deeper, though, because you remember how I mentioned Megan Thee Stallion and Glorilla are like the wags right now. But, there might be some tension between these two ladies. And you mentioned who she was at the game with. Glorilla was at the game with her friend EJ King. Now, if you know EJ King, do you know that there's some bad blood between him and Megan Thee Stallion? And if you know Megan Thee Stallion and Glorilla happen to be supposed to be friends. But that's just me being messy and the trickle of it all. But congratulations to Glorilla. But if y'all heard me say this, go dig into it so we can talk about it.
Yeah. You know what? As long as she's happy, that yet again, we love here on this show. And so, not saying they love each other yet, but if she seems to be happy with the relationship that she's currently in, I'm happy for her. How did you say it again, Media Prince?
I love you. That kiss said, I love you tonight, tomorrow.
Can I get one more, Glorilla? Hey, let's move on to Jay-Z defending Bad Bunny's selection as the Super Bowl halftime show performer. He says, Americans really love them some Benito. We got Hove in New York City, we being TMZ recently, stating that, well, quite honestly, he's not feeling any sort of way about Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl, and that's just, it is what it is. As he put it, they love Benito, don't let them fool you. So what are you thinking about this as well?
Totally agree with Jay-Z. I mean, don't let them fool you, people, because his stores continue to sell out. His music is going through the roof. Clearly, people are excited to see Bad Bunny, which is why the hateration in this dancery is coming so heavy. I think Bad Bunny is going to take it to the next level. We saw what happened with Jennifer Lopez and Shakira. It was amazing Super Bowl. It went to new heights. It opened up a whole new audience and a whole new world to the NFL Super Bowl. Bad Bunny is going to do that times two. He's like the GOAT. You get what I'm saying? Bad Bunny is probably like one, if not the top Latin artist. And I think he's getting ready to bring a whole new ball game to the Super Bowl. And I think the haters are just upset because they're trying so hard to cancel somebody that they can't cancel. And Jay-Z is a man of his word and a man of his business, and he stands 10 toes down on his business. And he chose Bad Bunny, and y'all not about to change his decision, okay? So, and if you are hating and you are upset, just watch and the crazy thing, the people that are hating are going to secretly watch anyway and be dancing in the living room and then still running to Twitter to hate. I just don't get those type of people, and I think we're in a new season where we don't need to try to understand those type of people. Just let them frolic in their own misery, because Bad Bunny would be live on center stage killing it, and you can't say nothing.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the movie, but the famous line is, they hate us because they ain't us. And in this case, apparently that goes for Mr. Bad Bunny and Jay-Z.
Yes.
We'll end with this, Media Prince, and that is Justin Bieber now explaining why he believes thinking about another woman equals cheating in a rarely open discussion on marriage. Apparently, the Biebs just saying that, hey, that even fantasizing about another woman crosses a moral line. It's interesting that he's actually speaking out about this. He's been married for 7 years now.
Well, doesn't he do this all the time? Cross the line. I mean, we saw how he was thinking about Selena Gomez again and again and again. So it's kind of ironic to hear him say that because we've seen the spiral of him not getting completely, because that's been the whole hoopla of him and Haley's marriage is he wasn't completely over Selena Gomez, and then we have that whole rift. So it's ironic, and we see him really go after Selena. You could tell when his feelings are a little hurt. So the fact that he is speaking about this, it kind of like contradicts what he does on social media with his exes. So, but I do agree. Even fantasizing is, it ain't fully indulging into the cheating, but it's definitely opening the door for cheating. So if we had to spell out the word, fantasizing would probably be CHEA. Of the cheating, okay? So it starts the door opening. So yes, I do totally agree with him. It's just ironic that he's the messenger delivering this message.
Right. Well, we'll have to leave it there. Yet again, meeting a prince with all things celebrity gist, joining us right here on a Feel Good Tuesday. Always good to see you, my friend.
It is always good to be seen. Just make sure you stay live in the sun.
And we are live in a major way. We're going to take a quick break. On the flip side of this break, the latest on breaking news out of the Middle East. Perhaps violence yet again? Maybe so. We'll get you the latest next right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. It is now 1:31. We are following what's happening on Capitol Hill, where apparently it appears lawmakers will address, well, the topic of the day, the government shutdown, now day 28. When that happens, and if that happens, we'll take you there live right here on the Live Zone. Meanwhile, we are also following breaking news out of the Middle East, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced on Gaza earlier today, that perhaps there will be powerful strikes in the Gaza Strip, immediately in retaliation for what Israeli officials say was a Hamas attack on Israeli forces. Now, the deal to end the war in Gaza was easily President Trump's biggest diplomatic achievement this term, and it's now looking incredibly fragile. We hope to get someone to speak on this momentarily. But yet again, we can tell you that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announcing that he ordered powerful strikes in the Gaza Strip immediately. Before we go to break, Joey, I also want to bring our viewers up to speed with the other big story, guys. It is quite a busy day. We can tell you that Hurricane Melissa has now made landfall on the island of Jamaica. It is a Category 5 hurricane. At this point, we are being told that it is stronger than when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. At last check, winds are sustained at some 185 miles an hour. This is going to be devastating for that island, and the folks that live there, our prayers and hearts go out to them. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Fox 5 Live Zone, obviously following breaking news out of the Middle East, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced earlier today that he had ordered powerful strikes in the Gaza Strip immediately in retaliation for what Israeli officials say was a Hamas attack on Israeli forces. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Harley Lippman, foreign policy expert back here on the Live Zone. Harley, truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us with the latest. I got to say, this is somewhat of a surprise. Would you agree?
Yes and no. Let me first move over and get a little more centered for you, because this is breaking news and everything's just started today. Yes and no. Yes, mostly it is a surprise, because I thought the truce would hold up, because everybody's exhausted by this war. Everybody. Palestinian civilians have suffered enough. The Israeli society is just tired of this, and the world wants to see this ended. And President Trump did come through with an historic breakthrough by getting the fighting to stop, at least for a temporary period of time, as we can see. And he got the hostages out, which is a miracle and is extraordinary. But that said, you know, Hamas is Hamas. They are a cult. It's a radical Islamist group. The second phase was them to disarm, and obviously they're not disarming.
You know, Harley, yet again, I sit here in awe and sit here in amazement that we are back at the point where this ceasefire is somewhat fragile right now. What do you suspect will happen in the near future? Will it remain in place, and or will it come to an end?
It's a great question. I think it'll remain in place, because I think that the ingredients that created the ceasefire are stronger than the ingredients that want to unwind the ceasefire. What do I mean by that is President Trump got the commitment of Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt, who are the main supporters of Hamas, to let Hamas know that they lost. They're not completely defeated, but they did lose. And that if they were to continue fighting, it's going to be far worse for them, because Israel will now take Gaza City and will continue the war against Hamas till the end. So we are counting on Turkey, Qatar, and Egypt to go back to Hamas and make sure that they disarm. This is going to be extremely difficult, because for Hamas to disarm means they've given up. It's over. They're now not relevant anymore. And to tell that to a radical Islamic organization is extremely difficult. But this is what it takes to make peace. And I know President Trump is distracted with doing many wonderful things around the world in Asia now. He's working on peace in Ukraine. But he did send Marco Rubio and Vance to Israel. And I think the goal is to make sure that this truce is sustainable, because I don't think anybody really wants any more war except for Hamas, because they want to destroy the infidel and they want to destroy Jews and Christianity. And this is where they're beginning.
Yeah, well, Mr. Lippman, it's no secret when we've seen an attack, it has in essence been tit for tat, meaning I think we would both be fools to sit here and state that we do not believe Hamas will retaliate in any way, form, or fashion.
Well, my understanding is they attacked Israeli soldiers. So I wouldn't call it tit for tat, because that, I think, is not an accurate picture of what happened. I don't think Israel has any motivation to go after Hamas. President Trump made it very clear to Bibi Netanyahu not to do that. Bibi Netanyahu depends on Trump, cannot risk offending President Trump. So the actions would have to be very clear and blatant that Hamas violated this agreement for Israel to now attack them back. So this goes to the heart of any agreement. Two sides have to honor it. Hamas is not honoring it, and they're attacking Israel. What does anyone expect Israel to do? To say tit for tat implies an equivalency, a kind of moral equivalent. There is a bad actor in this and a good actor. The bad actor is Hamas, who broke the agreement. The good actor is Israel, that's been honoring the agreement. I'll also add that Hamas has also broken the agreement by trying to provide dead hostage bodies that they're disguising as Palestinians who've been killed. In other words, they're not giving back the bodies that they promised. And it's hard to believe that they don't know where they are. Hamas knows the value of these bodies. They would carry dead Israelis from Israel into Gaza. It's not easy carrying a heavy, big man who's dead. They did it because they know the value of even dead Israelis. So for them to say they don't know where they are is very suspect.
Mr. Lippman, it is no secret, President Trump is currently touring Asia. To your point, as you stated, he is doing many things throughout the world. The question I would pose to you is, do you think that the U.S. involvement with regard to President Trump getting involved and intervening yet again needs to happen in order to make sure peace stays within that region?
Absolutely, it does need to happen. President Trump singularly made this happen. Nobody else did, or I believe could have made this happen. So it really is up to him. He needs to get back on the phone, if he's not doing it already, I'm sure he is, with Erdogan of Turkey, with the Emir of Qatar, with President Sisi of Egypt, and in no uncertain terms, making sure that they stop Hamas and that they keep this truce. And I will add, another way to look at this is that let's not look for perfection. That, to use your words now in a good way, tit for tat, if you will, there may be some violations here and there. You may go 3 steps forward and 1 step backward, and then another 2 steps forward and 2 steps backwards. But as long as directionally this is holding, this may be the best we can get out of it.
Yet again, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announcing earlier today that he ordered powerful strikes in Gaza Strip immediately in retaliation for what Israeli officials say was a Hamas attack on Israeli forces. Mr. Lippman, I know this was last minute. Truly appreciate your time and you making time for us with the latest and your expertise and commentary surrounding all things within that region.
My pleasure, anytime.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone. Fox 5 Live Zone. If it's happening, we're taking you there. In this case, Virginia gubernatorial race. All eyes remain on that. We're talking about Democratic candidate Abigail Spanberger now speaking at George Mason for the, well, let's just say for a number of folks that continue to follow her and support her. Let's go ahead and take a live look in.
To afford it. And the hurdles that this puts in place for so many Virginians impedes our individual abilities to pursue success, but importantly, it impacts our larger economy. And I have rolled out plans to lower costs in housing, healthcare, and energy because I know that this is how we create greater opportunity and address the concerns that are top of mind for so many Virginians. And as a mother of 3 daughters in Virginia public schools, I know that there is nothing more essential to the success of our greater community and especially our kids than the strength of our public schools. And as governor, I will work to ensure that we are putting Virginia on a path towards having the very best public schools in the country. And recognizing the value that workforce training programs in our community colleges and our incredible public institutions like this one right here have not just on the lives of Virginians, but on our larger economy. People like Maddie, they come to Virginia, they fall in love with the beautiful mountains or the water or the rolling hills, depending upon where you are, and they stay. And they build lives, and they become Virginians. And that is the story of so many people. And in part, it is because of the opportunity that we have always worked to create in our Commonwealth. Now, at this moment in time, the Commonwealth of Virginia is impacted in a particularly strong way by bad policy coming out of Washington. We are home to more than 320,000 federal employees. So an attack on our federal workforce through the DOGE cuts throughout the winter, the spring. That's an attack on the jobs, the livelihoods, and our communities, and in fact, our economy. Now, as we are working through this current government shutdown, watching as the administration tries to inflict upon Virginia and federal workers DOGE 2.0, so many Virginians are bearing the brunt of this challenge. And we need a governor who will stand up for Virginia. We need a governor who will make clear that an attack on the federal workforce, an attack on Virginians is an attack on our larger economy. We need a governor who will make clear that while I am hearing from Virginians that the cost of healthcare is going up, the cost of prescription drugs are too high, passing a bill like One Big Beautiful Bill, as they call it, that will decimate healthcare in Virginia is the opposite of what we need. We need a governor who will stand up for healthcare, be clear-eyed about the challenges in front of us, and work to mitigate the harms of these bad policies. And at a time when trade policies are coming straight at Virginia and they're raising input costs for small businesses and for farmers and closing off entire markets for our goods because of retaliatory tariffs, we need a governor who will stand up and make clear that once again, these actions are an attack on Virginia and our economy. And so that brings me back to what is happening a week from today. A week from today, we get to go to the polls. Or in this case, bring our friends to the polls. And a week from today, we will win. A week from today, we will win, and we will win decisively, and we will send a message to the rest of the country about the fact that when given the opportunity to cast our ballots, to make our voices heard through our votes, that we choose leaders who want to work to make their communities better, who want to serve Virginia. And in fact, in Virginia, I know for the presidents of Young Dem and College Dem clubs, it's a difficult place because every year we have an election. It's exhausting. Every year there are GOTV efforts, there's door knocking, phone banking, event after event. But this year, We are lucky because this year it's just us in New Jersey who have statewide elections. And so I know that this time can be heavy, and I know there's a lot of hardship that people are facing. But I also know that at this moment, we have the ability to be for so much, for that stronger economy, for people committed to lowering costs, for the best education system in the entire country. And when we encourage our friends and our neighbors and our family to be excited about what is possible, that is when we will win and win decisively. And for me, I am motivated by the idea that if ever there is a little girl anywhere who wants to move home to Virginia, I want there to be a house that her family can afford in the community they want to live in. I want there to be jobs available to her parents where they can provide for their family. I want that little girl to have a school where she is safe within its walls, where her teachers are well paid and well respected. Where the air she breathes is clean and the water she drinks is fresh. Where she knows that as she grows up, her rights will be respected, and that in Virginia, every opportunity, every dream she might have is hers for the making, because she has grown up in a commonwealth and in a place where those who have the ability to make decisions with their votes and with their voices every day endeavor to make our community stronger and better for kids like her, for all our kids, for all our grandkids, and for generations into the future. Thank you so much.
Here comes the 2 to the 3 to the 4. Tell them bring it.
Yet again, Abigail Spanberger speaking with regard to all things for the gubernatorial election. On behalf of my producer, Joey, I'm Guy Lambert. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone. The Take, next on Fox 5.